We talk about the VIX all the time, and this has just been an absolute, just perfect example of the VIX and how things are moving around. We're having this huge move to the upside. And then you take a look over at the volatility index. It was trading close to 21 just before the election, dropped all the way back down towards 15, and that's where we are. We're basically sitting anywhere between, call it 14, and right now we're sitting on the lows of the day, just above 14, just barely hanging on. I wouldn't be shocked if we get into the 13s at all. And I said this at the beginning of the day, and I'm saying it again. I would not be shocked by that. I think right now the range that we've seen over this week has been 14 to 15. 13 is definitely something that I think we could hit very quickly.
Yeah, completely. This is roughly what the VIX usually does after and before elections, by the way. We've been talking about this for a little while. I've said this in a few of my services as well. The VIX usually pumps from roughly July up until the election. It usually gets up to about where it did. It got up a little higher this time. Usually it averages like 19, and then it usually comes back in around December. It usually falls off, and the SPY usually rallies. Everything is in line. And yet, we're still going to have people say, oh, well, the VIX is way too low now. But Pete, I think that you do a phenomenal job of explaining exactly what the VIX means. It's more than just a panic gauge. It's a representation of how much the S&P is going to be moving over a 30-day basis on a percentage basis. And I think that it's perfectly in line with that right now.
Yeah, and it really has been, Justin. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, when you really look at this measurement and you look at it, call it 14 right now, something like that, it means the S&P is going to move less than 1% per day. And so we keep a track on that. And I would say that it's pretty much fell right in line with that. As a matter of fact, it's probably a little inflated right now, give or take, because of the fact of what we've been seeing out of the S&P. We've had some nice moves to the upside, of course, but it still doesn't mean necessarily that we're doing much even close to a 1% move on a daily basis.